and welcome to UC today. My name is Kieran Devlin and today's session is Mastering Microsoft 365, how VOSS powers optimization, automation and analytics. I am delighted to be joined by Christopher Martini, VP of Microsoft Strategy at VOSS. Christopher, thanks for joining us.
Kieran, pleasure to see you. Always happy to talk to the folks from UC today.
Before we explore exactly how VOSS empowers your Microsoft 365 journey, Christopher, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your own VOSS journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been in the industry for a long time. If I look at like the last 25 years, I have spent about half of that time at Microsoft and Avanade, and I spent about half of that time at Microsoft partners like VOSS, right? Helping people, customers, partners, just get the most that they can out of their Microsoft investment.
Perfect. Well, you're nicely positioned to tackle today's topic. And
yeah, look forward to it.
Let's dig into it. What are the current trends and challenges impacting organizations managing a Microsoft 365 service in 2025?
Yeah, it really depends on where that customer is in the life cycle, right, of their relationship with those tools. And it has a little bit to do with the skills and talent that kind of make up the organization. So if we look at the overall journey, well, there's complexity, but it's different complexity at different parts of that journey. If you're just evaluating a move to 365, and if we look at this through the lens of UC, you might have complexity in your legacy environment that you're trying to sort through before you can really even get on board with 365, right? There's that classic phase of what do we even have today? And then do you want to replicate some of the same challenges that you have in your existing environment in that new environment? So understanding what you have and optimizing that infrastructure for the move to 365 is generally it's generally complex, and I see a lot of end customers looking to partners to help with that, and also looking to tooling providers as well. When you're further along in the journey, it starts to become a mix of you want to drive healthy adoption and consumption, right? It doesn't do any good to roll these tools out and then not have them in use by as many employees as possible, right? You're paying for the license either way. So challenges around how do we drive that adoption? How do we drive consumption of that license? We're paying for it. Are we providing the appropriate training? Are we having check-ins, right, periodically to look at how people are using the tools? And are we driving innovation and value, right? You can't just drop AI on someone's desk and walk away and think that they're going to have a productive experience with that. And then also looking at what do you have for in-house technical talent, right? If we look at this through the lens of UC, you have to start thinking about, do we have PowerShell skills? Do we have people that really understand telephony as well as software, right? Because you start eliminating desk phones in a lot of cases. Those are generally the types of challenges that we see. But then when you get to either a larger tenant size, or if you're in a position where you're responsible for managing multiple tenants, let's say you're a service provider, a systems integrator, a telco, there's an entirely different set of challenges that have to do with kind of the perspective of the tooling from Microsoft. The perspective of the tooling is very customer focused as opposed to service provider, service delivery focused.
And you mentioned AI earlier and some of the challenges around tangibly integrating that into UC processes. Jumping on that to an extent, how does VOSS elevate Microsoft 365 management and how does AI come into play?
So yeah, that's a great question. From an end user's standpoint, from a Microsoft partner standpoint, from just living in 2025 standpoint, it's impossible to escape the hype around AI. Every partner in the space is talking about it. Every employer is wrestling with it. Microsoft obviously is talking about at every opportunity that they have. So from an end user perspective, I think the big challenge is helping people understand really what the art of the possible is there, because there are so many different things that an end user can do. When we look at it from a purely VOSS perspective, what is VOSS trying to do? Well, VOSS is trying to drive down the cost to deliver services around these tools. We're trying to make it faster, less expensive, more reliable. That's our entire reason for being, right? We want customers to have a better experience no matter what technology path they choose. But since we're talking about Microsoft, in that Microsoft space, we're trying to drive down all of the challenges, right? Eliminate obstacles. In that construct, AI can be a very powerful tool because, as an example, we can have AI agents looking at data and analytics from your UC environment and making intelligent choices based on what they're seeing, right? Are we seeing substantial jitter or packet loss on a particular type of device or call? Are we seeing issues around SIP trunking, or is there an SBC challenge? All of that is an area that's really ripe for AI. AI obviously can play an important role also in servicing and supporting our customers. How do we help customers find answers more quickly? How do we help customers make sense of all of the data that's available to them, right? Just having all of that data isn't necessarily helpful if all it does is adds another challenge for you to have to look through and sort through. So at VOSS, we're very focused on how can we leverage AI to collapse timelines. So when you're looking at either resolution to an issue or onboarding a customer, where do we see gaps in that timeline that we can kind of eliminate for our customers? And then also, how can we really help them make sense of the data? That's just another huge space.
And what's always valuable here is a tangible example, a customer case study to really illustrate how VOSS empowers organizations with these management challenges. Can you please share an example of a VOSS customer whose challenges were defeated by VOSS's Microsoft solution?
Yeah, sure. We have so many customers, right, where we've helped them. It's just trying to figure out which example would be an appropriate example. But from my perspective, when you get to a certain size tenant with Microsoft, a whole new kind of host of challenges get introduced to you. And they come around things like departmental segmentation, right? Are we able to split up our view of the world into our view of the world? Not the way that Microsoft necessarily sees our view of the world. Can we get really granular on permissions? Because we might have a distributed support environment where we have a third-party MSP who's handling one part of our environment, and we've got an internal IT department handling another part. It's impossible with the out-of-the-box tooling from Microsoft to make that easy, to make that simple. So we had a customer come to us, and essentially their challenge was, we're happy with the tools that we bought from Microsoft. We're rolling them out. The adoption and consumption is going great. Our employees love the experience that they have. We have challenges in the following areas. And again, it was around how do we break this environment up so that we can manage it in that, truly granular role-based access control way? And how do we make it easier to leverage automation so that we don't have to spend so much time on, and they had a whole list of tasks. It was onboarding and offboarding users, license management. All of that becomes incredibly complex. VOSS went in and we ran a short proof of concept with them to help them see how all of these things could improve. And then we rolled out two solutions for them. We rolled out VOSS Automate and we rolled out Insights. Insights is our analytics platform. It helped them collect all of that robust data, and Automate gave them the departmental segmentation that they were looking for. We connected to their ServiceNow platform, so they had automated flow-through provisioning. You don't need someone doing all of that work manually in 2025. And sometimes when we talk to people about automation, they think, oh, we're leveraging automation today. And when you dig into that, it's an automated email to a person asking the person to do a task. And if you have enough information to construct that email, in most cases in 2025, and certainly if you're a VOSS customer, you have the ability to automate that process. Person doesn't need to do that.
Terrific. And I think you mentioned some of them there about the tangible benefits and the measurable challenges there. And I was wondering if we could explore that in a little bit more detail. What were some of the most impressive benefits that they managed to achieve through leveraging you guys?
Yeah, when I think about customer benefits, I tend to think about those things through two separate lenses. The first one is essentially a productivity gain, right? How can we do something more efficiently, either faster or without using as many people, as many hands-on? And then the second kind of bucket of benefits are, where were we able to deliver something that you simply couldn't do previously, right? It's not that you could do it and it was slow, you just simply couldn't do that thing. So with this particular customer, we had wins in both of those buckets. From a how do we make things more efficient standpoint, as I mentioned, we were able to connect to the system that they use to onboard employees. And then based on the information that they were already entering into that system, we were able to make smart choices about how we provision users on 365. Appropriate licensing, right? The resources that they need, telephone number applied to them, all of their dial plan information, everything done automatically. Huge win, right? For a large environment where you have joiners and leavers every week in that environment, and you don't have to have someone worrying about that anymore. And then in the second bucket, there just is not a way with the Microsoft tool set to get truly granular when you think about service delivery and administration. This particular customer, they were fortunate that they had folks that understood PowerShell. So they could do some bulk administration things a little bit more efficiently than maybe some other customers, but they were still kind of hamstrung by the limitations there, right? You can't go down to the individual checkbox level and deliver role-based access to a single checkbox. You can't automatically take the Microsoft tenant and carve it into the departments, regions, geographies that make sense for your business. There's not a simple way to do that. So we helped that customer enjoy the productivity gains, and then we showed them what life is like when you're doing business with a company that has spent the last 20 years trying to figure out how to make this easier, faster, cheaper to administer.
And one final question before I let you go, Christopher. How can viewers find out more about VOSS's Microsoft solution to address their own needs?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, right? Christopher Martini at VOSS, and I'm easy to find on LinkedIn. And I'm sure that we'll include website and email contact information if folks want to reach out. Drop us a quick note. We'll have someone from VOSS reach out to you. And we're happy to have that initial discussion around really what could advanced tooling and analytics bring to your business, right? The value discussion is different for every customer, as I said, depending on where they are in that life cycle. But we love talking to customers no matter where they are.
Perfect. Well, I think that's all we've got time for today, but it's been a thoroughly enjoyable session. So thank you, Christopher, for being here.
Yeah, Kieran, thank you very much for the time.
And if you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and subscribe on social media, and we'll see you next time. I've been Kieran Devlin, the UC Today. Thanks for watching.